Welcome to episode 1 of the Watch Before You Die podcast. My name is Brian, and if you're not familiar with the format just yet, me and my friends Justin and Ben have committed to watching all the movies that you should watch before you die, and we're taking it obviously one movie at a time. And this week we watched the movie Phantom Thread. It was a 2017 movie. It was rated R for language only, and I think we have some thoughts to share about the movie. Ben, you want to share anything?
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, when we rolled the movie, I guess that's what we did, rolled it. We randomized the movie last week, and it was selected for us. And I heard it was, one, it was rated R, and then two, it was like a romance movie. I absolutely had like the worst feeling going into it. But I watched it, that's the point of this, right? Watch movies we typically wouldn't. And so I watched it, and it was interesting. That's the word I want to put on it. Interesting.
I mean, I'll say from a selfish perspective, I was just really happy that it was a 2017 movie. Like, it was a recent movie.
Yep.
Like, when I heard that it was a 2017, I was like kind of excited that we weren't going to start with like something that we'd have to dig through the archives or go to some like local library to check out or something like that. But I was in the same boat as you. I was kind of like, romance drama. I don't know if I ever heard of this movie, and I don't know if I had ever watched this movie on my own had it not been rolled for me.
Correct. I definitely wouldn't have watched it.
I was glad that it was a movie that none of us had seen before, and certainly wasn't like a cult classic or anything.
Yeah.
You roll Pulp Fiction, you're like, oh, well, good. I like Pulp Fiction. I'd love to watch Pulp Fiction again, but
yeah, I've never seen Pulp Fiction. But we're not here to talk about Pulp Fiction.
You will be seeing it.
Yeah, we're here to talk about Phantom Thread. And so what's next is we are going to give our ratings. But before that, I want to take a gander and a guess on Justin's thoughts on the movie. Now, I have not talked to Justin since he's seen it. He keeps trying to give me his thoughts on it in text message threads, but I keep rejecting it. I feel like when we rolled it, Justin expressed his disinterest in watching the movie. And some behind the scenes know-how and knowledge that you don't know about watching this. Justin took the longest to watch the movie.
Absolutely.
So we're going to throw him under the bus first. I think I have a secret suspicion that Justin enjoyed it more than he would claim if you asked him like on the show, hey man, did you enjoy Phantom Thread? He'd be like, that movie sucked. I believe he actually enjoyed it more than that's my thoughts on
it's an interesting theory.
Viewing. Okay.
All right.
Anybody else have theories on other people?
I think that's probably true for all of us, though. I think we all thought better of them. I really genuinely think we all think positively about this movie.
I think
in some way.
Okay.
It's not fair for me to
maybe
say
not for the same
myself.
reasons.
It's not fair for me to say about myself, but I feel like I'm the only person here whose expectation probably deflated. I feel like both you and Justin went in with lower expectations and were probably a little bit surprised.
Okay.
I went in like thinking, okay, here in a second it's gonna like seriously pop off, and it was like,
okay.
Okay. So I think it kind of fizzled out for me. But we'll get to ratings now. Does anyone want to go first on the ratings?
What's our scale?
1 to 10.
1 to 10, but you have a secondary number option there. So
it's technically 0 to 10. If you want to give it a 0, you can.
Yeah, you can. And you could do with you could hit it with a 4.5. You could hit with an 8.6. We want to give as many options as we can because watch 1,000 movies or more.
1,200.
They're all going to be
0
sixes.
through 10. It's going to be very hard. Actually,
it's the mediocre movie podcast.
Yeah. Yes. So I think since Justin just learned the scale, he should go first.
Bet.
Figure it out quickly.
Yeah.
Figuring it out quickly. Out of 10, I would have to rate this movie overall experience. I'm going to give it a pretty high number. I'm going to call it like a 8.1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
8.1.
I thoroughly enjoyed myself watching this movie.
Did you? I thought you would, and
I'll tell you why that's interesting. What you said later on after we get through the ratings, but
yeah,
I would actually rate this movie pretty high.
Okay, 8.1 for Justin. All right, so that's literally our first score ever on our scale. Okay, Brian, you want to give us your score?
Yep. So I'll be up next. I have reasonings as well. I don't want to get into like the deep like parts of the movie just yet.
Yeah.
I have reasons behind my score as well. One of them that isn't spoilery is I just feel like movies at 2 hours, that's like a sweet spot. And if your movie is longer than 2 hours, like I really think there's some fat that could be trimmed off. And this movie had a lot of fat that I felt like could have been trimmed off. It was a little bit of a struggle for me to watch all the way through it, even though I did enjoy it. So my score is a little bit lower, but I gave it a 6.
Okay. Just straight 6?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wow, that's actually
5.5.
I'm going to be honest,
but I came up to 6.
That's lower than I thought it was going to be. Genuinely, I thought you would have a higher score.
I went in pretty hot. Like I was ready to like love this movie, and it kind of
experience it.
It does say something about expectations, like when you go into
definitely
expectations, it definitely changes this. Well, I am actually somewhat YouTube, but closer to Justin. Without spoiling it, I had extremely low expectations. I also had extremely negative expectations of it because, again, of the rating and the genre. So I was expecting something totally different, which we'll get to. But I would give it like a 7 point.
Okay.
That's where I was at.
Yeah.
So our first average score for all of us, Ben giving it a 7.8, me at a 6, and Justin at an 8.1. We have a 7.3 movie for our first movie.
That's probably pretty accurate.
Yep. And
that's
when you think about this list, we're operating off of a list of somebody has said these are good movies that you should watch before you die, right? So we're assuming that they should all be in the higher range. So that's a pretty average movie for what we should encounter on this list. So I feel like it's pretty accurate.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think now that we've got our ratings, let's go into spoilers. So put a spoiler warning up right here. Spoilers. Yep. All right. Let's get into some spoilers because I have thoughts on this movie.
We want to encourage you, like when we announce movies. So at the end of this episode, we're going to be announcing the next movie that we're going to watch. We encourage you guys to watch that movie with us so that you're ready for these episodes. You could always pause this part and come back later and finish the movie or the video. But this is the part where we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about the movie and some of the stuff that could be considered spoilers.
All right. Should we go highest to lowest or lowest to highest as far as talking about our feelings on the...
I'll launch in. I'll go lowest.
We'll go lowest to highest.
Yeah, get the bad stuff out of the way, and then we can praise it.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, I always go with like the compliment sandwich. So I'll say something that's really good about this movie. I believe Daniel Day-Lewis's character 100%. Like his acting is so good. Yeah. And his voice, like he didn't for a second leave that character. And it was so believable, and the lighting on the movie was so good, and the music was enjoyable. Like I could totally, I didn't even 1 second think this is Daniel Day-Lewis playing a character. It was like the character, right?
Yeah.
And I remember there was a point in the movie he was so high strung and particular about everything when it came to noise and when it came to like how things looked and yada yada yada. I was thinking to myself, holy crap. My wife is such a lucky person to be married to me who doesn't give a care compared to this guy. He's like such a pain in the butt, right?
Yeah.
And then the biggest spoiler that we're going to get to, but we have to rip the Band-Aid off at some point, when she puts poison mushrooms in his tea.
She poisoned that dude.
I was thinking, man, am I so lucky to have my wife who doesn't poison me?
Little do you know.
Yeah, not yet.
Yeah, not yet. Absolutely.
But again, the main reason for my lower rating was just... it just kind of felt like a slog. Like they were really establishing some cool ideas. I really liked the fact that, you know, he kind of held all the power until he was made vulnerable. And then she nursed him back to health, and he realized that how much he needed her, like when he was weak. And that's why the movie ended like it did. And so I like that, but it just took so long to get there. I felt like it could have been a shorter movie and still had the same punch and still had the same result. Without it, even though it was a pretty movie, it just went too long for me.
Okay. I agree with a lot of you say. The things that I enjoyed about the movie, I thought the dialogue was phenomenal. the way that he talks to people, the way that people talk back
My
to
old
him.
so-and-so.
I thought Cyril was an excellent character.
Cyril
I thought that
great.
was his wife.
No.
I thought that at the very first part of the movie, I was like, my old so-and-so. Isn't that what like husbands talk about their spouses or something?
I knew something was off, right? You're not going to sit at the breakfast table with your fling and your wife, right? It's got to be something different. But I thought the dialogue was excellent. I actually, you were commenting on the characters and everything, right? I'm going to say it before Justin does because I know Justin's got something he wants to share. I feel like I related more with Daniel Day-Lewis's character than I probably should as a person, because I'm like, especially like the New Year's Eve scene where she's like, I want to go out, and he's like, I don't, and I'm not going to. I'm sitting there like, oh, shoot, that's what I look like. Because I'm like, there are times where I'm just very set in like, this is what we're gonna do, kind of a thing. I just thought the movie was great, and part that really shocked me, which is why my score is a little bit higher, was the fact that when I'm hearing it's a rated R romance, I'm thinking like ridiculous amount of sex scenes and stuff, and like that's
lots of
what
boobies
my mind
just
takes.
everywhere.
Yeah,
boobies
and
here, boobies
this was
there.
Like a really nice, like, oh wow, this is literally a romance. It's almost like a romance novel as you would write it.
I think it was rated R specifically because of the F-bombs.
For language, it has to be rated R just for language.
Because if you say the F-bomb twice, it can't be PG-13.
Correct. And you didn't hear any language for the first hour of the movie. I thought that was interesting because the first time that you start to hear the F word come out is when the first time Daniel Day-Lewis's character snaps. Yeah. And then he starts dropping them. Yep. And it's like an hour in and you're like, holy crap. Like I forgot that this was rated R for a second. Yeah. Like that's the worst that it gets, is like when they go into tantrums and tirades like that. Other than that, it was, like you said, it was not a raunchy film. At all.
I was very pleasantly surprised. The other thing I really liked about it is it did, you talked about Daniel Day-Lewis's character, like felt like that was him as a person. It's not him playing a role.
Right.
I felt like the setting was the same thing. Like watching it, it was like I could have been living in that time with them. The way it's shot, the way it's the warmth of it, or even the reverse warmth, the coldness of it at times. You're like, you feel like you're a part of the movie if you let yourself be engrossed in it. If not, then it's just the case. You're not gonna feel like you're a part of it. But I did feel like I was in it because of how well it's shot and how well cinematography. So I thought it was better than I was expecting. And is it something I'm going to watch again? No, but if somebody were wanting something totally different, I might recommend it. Something artistic.
Yeah,
sure. I agree.
I will totally echo. Like, I kind of forgot about how cool Cyril is.
Yeah,
she's such a great character. Yeah, like as you learn who she is, because we all had that moment, like, who is this? Like, what's going on here? And you're figuring out their relationship, and she like kind of dotes on him, and like she knows how he is, and she like tries to keep order for him. But then there's a point where they bash heads too, and she just looks at him and she's like, you don't want to fight me, I'll run right through you. You're like, holy crap.
And I am quite fond of her, I think is what she said. And I was like, who's this chick? That's not the same person.
Yeah,
she's supposed to be super cold and detached.
Yeah.
I think my favorite character, like as far as acted, has to be Reynolds Woodcock, which is Daniel Day-Lewis in the movie. But Cyril is a very close second. She was so well.
Great character.
Portrayed. I agree with that. And what I liked about along those lines with the acting is I really appreciate when people can act without saying words. And her specifically, well, and I think all three of the main characters did that. Is they acted with their eyes, with their postures, with their the things that they were doing. Absolutely. And I was fascinated with each scene. And yes, I agree with you that the movie kind of drags on a bit, but for me, seeing those scenes and hearing everything that I heard, it was like ASMR. Everything you heard, every stitch that was being put into the clothes. You heard the obnoxious sound that I know Brian hated, or that I know Ben hated, of her making her toast and cutting her toast and spreading butter on her toast, and just all of the well, but like because his whole character appreciates the silence, right? And so it played with silence and all the loud clamoring noises, and when he goes to the party, and I'm just like, this isn't going to end well for anybody. I didn't anticipate him going and grabbing her and dragging her out of the New Year's party or whatever, but But yeah, I really think the cinematography was incredible. I think every shot, even if it took a while for panning or whatever it might have been, I feel like I was in the room. You hear the
Yeah.
floor creaking.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
it's unbelievable.
Some of the
when he
shots up
puts
the
his
stairwell
shoes
and
on. Yeah,
hearing the house.
exactly. You
Yeah.
hear the leather. You can hear, the linen being put on people. The sound design was incredible.
It was great.
Mhm.
Cinematography incredible. It felt like an old movie,
Mhm.
right? And a lot of period pieces sometimes can't really get that part right, where things don't look like it's necessarily
Yeah.
an old movie, or maybe they don't get the feel of the time period.
Yep.
I feel like this one nailed it. I really
Yeah.
think it did a good job of putting people into the time period, which I still don't know what it is, but it's got to be something like
It's the
60s,
1950s.
70s or something.
It's 50s in London.
50s
Yeah.
in London.
Mhm.
I really liked the food in the movie.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
when the
Yeah.
first time when they first meet and she's being the waitress or whatever, and he just keeps ordering
Yeah,
food and keeps
yeah, he
ordering
keeps
food and keeps ordering food. I'm
Yep.
like,
And it's so
okay,
specific.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Just dump some sausages on there or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but yeah, no, the movie, the biggest thing for me for this movie, and I'll shut up in a minute, but the biggest thing that stuck out for me for this movie is the unpredictability of it.
Mhm.
When I watch movies, you can almost, and I feel like I'm sinking out of the frame. Do I slouch? I guess I slouch.
Disappearing.
I'm sliding out of my chair. The thing that I love about movies is when I can't predict what's going to happen, and this
I
movie
agree.
absolutely did that. It had it in spades because, like, just from you get the whole Bachelor vibe and things like that. I see you. You get the whole Bachelor vibe and things like that,
Yeah.
and sure, that's cool, whatever. But like when things start to take a turn, and I'm like, why are we focusing on her walking around in the woods with some other lady picking mushrooms and stuff and
Yep.
not getting the right ones, and I literally just wrote in all caps or something, "Ayo, she poisons the guy."
Mhm.
And that's where I had to stop because I had work getting involved. But at that point, I was hooked. And it's an hour into the movie, but
Yeah.
but like I came back just to see what in the world happened, because surely she's not going to poison this guy that she's in love with. Surely he's not going to drink the tea. Surely she's going to stop him from drinking the tea because she thinks better of, oh, I'm going to poison the love of my life or whatever. No, she lets him do it.
You're gonna be
She
wrong
lets him
on
drink
all
the tea.
points.
And then the most unexpected thing ever happens. He just likes being sick or
Yeah.
whatever. At the end of the movie,
Yeah.
he just wants to, like, every once in a while, like, I get, like, take a vacation or something if you work too hard. But like they started, I guess, to plan out that he needed a break. So she was just gonna make him sick and then
So-
keep him sick.
That tension in the final scene of the movie is
Yeah.
probably the best thing, because I agree with you. I like subverted expectations,
Yeah.
and I don't like it when a movie doesn't give you all the information just to try and trick you. But when you
Yeah.
have all the information or something, and then you're
Yep.
like, I still don't know what's going to happen. Those final like 6 minutes of the movie, I was like, does he know? Does he
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Is he
Yeah.
going to eat it?
That
Is
really-
he not going to eat it?
That really
I thought she was gonna have an
incredible
affair with the doctor.
It
Uh,
was.
I
it was
can't
up
think
and
of all the other
down,
ones, but I was just
and-
like, it was zigging when I thought it was gonna zag, and it just I didn't know what it was gonna do.
This movie, there was a lot of people in this movie, but mainly just 3 characters
Yep.
drove the whole thing. Like there were a lot of people who came and went in and out of the scene, but only 3 characters. It was just Alma and Reynolds and Cyril, really. And it was really just Alma and Reynolds.
Yep.
And that final scene, they're just staring at each other, a bite of omelet on the fork.
Yep.
And it's just like, at any moment he could murder her, and I'd be like, okay. At any moment he could
Like,
eat
what-
it, and I'd be like,
What's
okay.
gonna happen
Yeah.
next?
You just have no idea.
You don't. Yeah.
I want to
But-
know. I want to know if you guys had any secondhand embarrassment for Alma at any point, because I felt so embarrassed for Alma, but it was bizarre when she went and told the princess of Spain or whatever, Brussels, Belgium. I
can't
don't remember. She was like, she walks up to her in her wedding dress and she's like, "I live here, and I want you to know my name." And then she walks off, and I'm like,
Oh,
Yeah.
I hated that.
There is something
"What just
to be-
happened?"
There is something to
I
be
hated
said
that.
for the incredible tension that movie created.
Mhm.
Where
Yeah.
where again I felt like being a super empathetic person, I felt so uncomfortable at times because I'm like, I feel like I'm there, and I'm like, please don't.
It's
Oh,
hateful.
she's gonna
It's
do it. Oh, okay, we're
hateful.
gonna do this. So
It's not
yeah,
good that you did that.
I do feel like probably the three things for me were like the dialogue. I love the dialogue. I felt like the cinematography was, but I wanna highlight again. I said it one time and be one of our final thoughts, but I want to highlight how incredible because
Mhm.
yeah, it's and it's not because I'm getting old because I've verified it with a lot of people. Movies these days, audio is like secondary. Like
Mhm.
you can't hear voices, you can't hear the little effects. It's just like how loud can we the sound and then shit
Yeah.
together. This
And
was
they're also
very
thinking
much about sound.
they're thinking, how can we make a soundtrack that people will listen to? It's just
Absolutely.
like name dropped audio. It's
Yep.
not like sound design like
Yeah.
this movie was.
And this was just true sound design.
Yeah.
It was incredible. They had the most sensitive microphones, like just in those rooms, and it was an ASMR trip.
I will say, since I'm the one who rated it lowest, I do have to throw another like negative point out
Okay.
there. One of the things that made me kind of sad was really early in the movie. Daniel Day-Lewis's character Reynolds says that he sews secret things into his clothes,
Oh yeah.
and he keeps like locks of his mother's hair over
Mhm.
his heart. And when he's making custom dresses for people, he'll sew secret things into the material that nobody will ever know are there. And I thought that was such a podium to set something up for later in the movie.
Yeah.
And it does come up later in the movie, but it's such a nothing
Yeah.
like scene. Like she just takes it out and then finishes sewing the dress, and then that's not in there anymore. But
Yep.
that's not like enough to land that plane for me. Like I don't care.
Yeah, I anticipate. Well, I think I saw it a little bit differently when she tore that out of the dress because it said, what did it say? It said never cursed.
Never cursed. Yeah.
Never cursed, and she was talking, and he tells the story about the cursed bride or something that never was to get married or something.
Right. It
And-
was superstition that if someone touched a wedding dress before they were to be married, they would never get married or something like that.
Right, yeah, something like that. And what I saw that as came to completion a little bit in the fact that I think she was making him like taking away the curse because I feel like he told that story and it was about himself.
Mhm.
And because he says he's a confirmed bachelor that he'll never marry and all that kind of stuff. I think he saw that curse on himself. Obviously not a bride with a dress or whatever, but I saw it a little bit differently, I guess, than you.
Mhm.
Coming like being fulfilled and them getting married and then having a happy life or whatever, and her seeing her tearing that out was her saying, well, maybe it was about the princess or whatever, and she didn't like her, but that she was making it her goal and her mission to remove the curse or whatever
Mhm.
that he saw on himself.
Yeah,
that he couldn't
for
be
me,
happy.
and I could be totally wrong because I watched the movie longest ago, but it was right after kind of that awkward scene that you were talking about, the secondhand embarrassment that she removed it.
Yeah.
And it would have hit harder if there would have been something like, because she removed that, the princess's wedding was called off or something like that. It's like all of a
Yeah,
sudden
no,
she set in motion
I see that. Land the
something
plane. Yeah.
big. But for me, I was like, why did I hold that piece of information in my head? It
Yeah.
didn't amount to anything in the movie. And that's just nitpicky. Obviously, you don't have to tie up every loose end, but it was one of those things that I was like, oh, that could have been really cool in
Yeah,
the right context or right circumstance.
absolutely.
There you
I'll
go.
agree.
Those are our super biased thoughts on Phantom Thread, and I think now it's time to randomly generate a number and see what we got.
Also, the last note about Phantom Thread, it was a real good movie.
Now we're talking.
Yeah,
There we go.
We'll cut that out. Let's go ahead and
Snuck it in there.
randomly generate a number.
All right. So we started with 1,246 movies. We have watched one. So we are down to 1,245 movies. We are
Yeah.
generating a new number, and the magic number is 1,191. I'm surprised it's high again.
Yeah.
I wonder when we're gonna get down. Like, I can't wait to see if we
Two.
ever get like one in the single digits. Yeah.
Okay. Movie 1,191 is a
Is?
2016 movie. And the name of the movie is 13th. That's 13th. 13th.
13th.
13th.
Okay, so this is a movie about Jason Voorhees.
You said
this is
13th, right?
That's right.
Okay,
2016, 13th.
13th Ghost.
Nope. I got it for you right here.
13
13th.
Candles.
From 2016 is, you really got to stop making the jokes. This is not the right time for that. This is the wrong movie for that. 13th is a in-depth look into the U.S. prison system. It is on Netflix, and unfortunately, I can't find a rating right now. But
Is it a documentary?
it is a documentary. I believe.
Okay.
I couldn't find the rating.
Documentary history.
What is the
It is
13th?
not rated.
Not rated. That's why I couldn't find the rating.
Yes.
So that is our next film. You can find it on Netflix if you want to watch along. Hopefully.
And don't put
Give us
any
a
ifs in
rating.
there. You watch this movie or else.
That's right.
Or else.
If you miss watching Phantom Thread, this is your chance to make it up to us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Watch 13th with us.
Otherwise, the light demon behind Ben's bookcase will come and get you. It's right here. Look. No, wait. It'd probably be like right there, huh?
It's not there either.
It's not
Thank you
there.
for
Is it
watching.
Right there? Right here?
It's all falling
Oh, wait.
apart.
Are you
Thank
above
you
me?
for
Where are you at?
watching.
I don't know
Watch
where you're at.
Before You Die podcast. We hope you'll watch the next movie with us, and we will see you next time.
Ba, ba, ba.